Vbeast! What's up, guys? It's been a minute since I've been back on the cam. Yeah, dude's got a rag hanging from his truck. This is not an update video, obviously. The title should be life-changing or change my life. Changed my life. Changed my life. So, let's get this setting started here. Hey, I just happened to turn green. Sweet. So, I was born in California. I was born not in a place where it's very known to people outside of California. So I was born in a little town called Boonville, California. Mendocino County. I could be totally wrong. It's been so long since I've been there. I was born in Mendocino County, California. I grew up a little bit in Ukiah. So I didn't grow up like a traditional type of family. It was my mom, myself, my uncle, my aunt, and my cousins. We lived together. Now, I was influenced by my uncle in many different ways that affected my life later on. And he told me many things that I do remember, that I still cherish and hold on today. Growing up, when living with my cousins, I had different influences. We were kind of bad growing up a little bit. I didn't stay too long in California, but I do remember the things that we did. And we always had some type of something around us, either it being an old car or a motorcycle, of course. My uncle rode motorcycles, and that's where I think I get my passion for motorcycles, from him. What are you doing? So we moved to Texas, my mother and me. My mom met a really nice guy, and he is now my dad for many, 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 many years. He's also influenced me to never give up, don't quit, and always work really hard for what you have, and make sure you take care of it. So I've gotten many things from him, advice, and I've learned a lot from him, what to do and what not to do. So growing up, going to high school, I was, well, pre-high school as well. You know, I'm pretty decent at my art skills. I can draw, paint, do many different things, design. I like doing all that. I'm pretty good at it. So you could say I'm pretty artistic, somewhat. I would say somewhat, but people say that perhaps I'm being really modest. But I say there's plenty of people way better than me. So growing up, going to high school, I was in multiple art classes. We had like an honors art class. And, you know, when we moved to Texas, I didn't really have any influence on motorcycles or cars, but I ended up liking the hot rod scene, even though growing up we didn't have much money, so I wasn't able to do things like build a hot rod and get into cars so much. So when the first time I got my car, I started putting parts on it. These people, they had no blinker. So I started putting parts on my car, making it go fast, tuning it up and stuff. It's fun. So my art class was kind of like my outlet for not doing bad stuff, but then when I got into cars, I wanted to race it. So I got with my friends, and I know my mom watches the video, so yeah, we'd be racing really late at night. And we saw accidents and people running from the cops, and fortunately I was smart enough to keep myself out of that kind of trouble. Now when, you know, when art class didn't have all the things that were to keep me busy, those are the things that we do. We do the stuff you're not supposed to do as teenagers. Now when I got older, it wasn't as bad. You know, I still wanted to do those things, but I didn't realize how dumb it is that I get into trouble. And so eventually I did get married to Miss Vbeast. And I realized I couldn't do those things. I shouldn't do those things, and it's a bad idea. Of course, I realized that before that, but it just became an even stronger pull when I got married to do those things. So we started doing things like heading to car shows, and I was like, maybe I'll catch a race every now and then. Fortunately, it was very far few in between, and then cops started showing up, so I got smart and I said, yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. But I still had that pull of recklessness, and I wanted to just rip it up and just do stupid stuff. And I decided I was going to buy a motorcycle. My first motorcycle. So when I did, you know, that feeling didn't go away. It maybe made it a little bit worse because the first bike I got was a sport bike, and I was just ripping it up, tearing it up. But then I did start to realize, you know, this is not very good for me. So I realized I needed to get to the cruiser world, so I did it. I pulled the trigger, and I just bought a cruiser. So the cruiser life was for me after that, and I started to really calm down. And the change in my life was not just the motorcycle itself. Motorcycling started to make me think about the things that I do and the decisions I make and how much they affect not myself but others. So when I got to the cruiser life, it really is a cruiser. I'm chilling. I get to chill and ride and think in my head and just kind of be with myself a bit. And when I'm with Miss Vbeast, we get to, well, do the same thing, but we're listening to music, we're chilling, and having a good time. So the change in my life was definitely motorcycling. So if you're thinking about getting a bike, do it. It'll change your life. Don't do stuff reckless, because that'll change your life too. But if you go on the cruiser side, which I suggest everybody to go cruiser first, and then sport bike. You know, a sport bike should be a secondary bike. It shouldn't be a primary bike, in my opinion. I mean, you might think completely opposite. Maybe you say a cruiser's for an old man. You know, I did kind of think that. That's why when I said I pulled the trigger on buying a cruiser, it was like a, oh man, I'm buying a cruiser. That's like old people stuff. But what really did it for me with the cruiser, it really changed me, is, you know, going back to, I didn't have an outlet. Well, the bike itself wasn't an outlet. That was a way for me to calm down and relax. The outlet on the motorcycle was making it my own, because I'm creative. So every cruiser since then, I was able to create something out of it that was my own. And that also became the people in my family that had bikes. Well, I started creating stuff for them on their bikes. So it was another outlet that I had for the rest of my life, is, well, motorcycles. I'm creative, so if you're creative, you're gonna love a cruiser more than you are a sport bike, because there's way more to do on a cruiser than a sport bike. So if you're looking to get a bike, you're really thinking about it, you're a beginner, and you don't know which bike to go to, or you're like, ooh, I'm getting a sport bike because it's fast, or you're getting a sport bike because it's cheap, don't do that. I mean, if that's your only means, yeah, go ahead, you need it right now. But until then, I mean, if you don't have to do that, I would say save up some money and get a cruiser. Now, I know I don't ride a Harley Davidson, but I do think Harley Davidson is really for people who, or maybe not for people, but people that are creative. A Harley Davidson is going to be the main thing to go to, because the creative things you can do to it far surpasses any other brand. I mean, I've done quite a bit to this bike, but a lot of it I did have to do, like, customize it. There's nothing that really fit too much that was just, ooh, I want that because I like the way it looks, so I can't just put it on there. You know, there was certain things that I couldn't do that with. Now, Harley Davidson, yeah, there's stuff like that, but for the most part, let's say you're creative, but your design, your creativity, it really shines in design. Maybe not actually making the product or the thing that you want to put on the bike. So there's so many choices. So you could just design what you want with your Harley, and then you can buy the pieces and put them together and you build it. And that's a good outlet. And if you're someone like that, you're probably not going to like a sport bike. But if you're someone that really likes to create something out of just nothing, then you can do it. You know, a sport bike might not be a bad deal, because I did do certain things to my sport bike I had. It was a Ninja 600, which some would call a ZX6. And that bike was fun. Don't get me wrong. I did a few things to it, polished the frame, polished the swing arm. That took me like a month every day after work. Lowered it, put some pinstriping, changed all the lights, you know, put exhaust on it, actually fabricated a short exhaust or muffler for it. And it was fun. But when I got to the cruiser world, that's where my creativity brain really shined, and it just looks really nice. I would say go for a cruiser all the way. People that I teach, especially one student I have, really good friend of mine, taught him how to ride. He's already on the cruiser bandwagon, man. He's all in, and he was all for the sport bike. And then a couple days ago, he had told me, he goes, bro, I think I'm gonna have to just get a sport bike, because he wants a bike so bad, but he's not really in the position at this particular moment to be buying the bike that he wants. So the bike that he wants is a street glide. So I've taught him enough where I know that he can control that bike very easily. His clutch movement, braking, slow speed maneuvers are on point. Okay, I've already taken him out, and he does phenomenal. He's a fantastic rider, a very quick learner, and through the steps that I teach, I'm a firm believer that I could teach 99% of the people that I could teach them to ride correctly and safely. Very, very short, in a short period of time. And I know I'm supposed to be making ride videos. I never have. But anyways, I gotta get to work. Look at this little peeps. Really? Look at this little guy. Hey, what's up? Hey, little peeps. She's like yelling, yo, get over here, dog. Oh, what a great way to end it, man. I gotta get to work, so ride what you ride, keep it Vbeast mode, and ride till the wheels fall off. This has been another random weekday video by your very own Vbeast. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Most of all, have